Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're taking a look at the 2022 Audi RS6 Avant. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this vehicle for me today. Make sure you guys check out their website. They have a ton of awesome pre-owned inventory. That link is down in the description. The Avant that you see behind me is finished off in night blue, which is a very beautiful color in person, and they have a starting MSRP right around $115,000. And to start off today's review, let's take a look at what powers this family wagon. Underneath the hood is the 4-liter twin-turbo V8, paired to the 8-speed Tiptronic automatic transmission. It pumps out 591 horsepower around 6,000 RPM and 590 pound-feet of torque around 2,000 RPM. That power is sent through the Quattro all-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 4,900 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with a top speed of 190 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 19.3 gallons. You'll expect to see around 17 miles per gallon in the city and 22 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 115.3 inches. Its overall length is 196.7. It has a width of 73.5 and a height of 58.6 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this RS6 Avant, let's start off with the hexagonal design for the grille. On this model, it's finished off in gloss black. Really nice contrast against this blue, and there's a lot incorporated into this grille, like the forward-facing camera, which is nicely placed underneath the Audi badge. There's a sensor on both sides, which is a part of the adaptive cruise. There's even parking sensors within that grille as well, and plenty of cutouts to provide cooling to that twin-turbo engine. There's more cutouts on the corners of the bumper, and even more parking sensors. And this has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. With a sleek headlight housing, the turn signals are incorporated into the DRLs and have that sequential design. There's some more black trim in the lower section of the bumper just to tie it in nicely with the grille. And as you can tell from this angle, 4 lines come down this hood, just giving it a crisp front end design. I love all the contoured lines, especially up underneath the headlights and surrounding those trim pieces on both sides. Gives it a bold and aggressive look for this family wagon. On the side now, this has a massive set of 22-inch wheels, finished off in gloss black with a 5-spoke design, and hiding behind that wheel is a 10-piston brake caliper with the rotors measuring 16.5 inches. Definitely a lot of stopping power for this wagon. There's floating calipers in the rear, however. I do wish they were a little bit larger, but with the 10 pistons up front, you definitely have that stopping power. And for a wagon, the side design is really nice. I love all of the lines in the lower section. There's one at the height of the door handle. All of the window trim has been blacked out. This even has gloss black on the side mirrors with the integrated turn signal as well as a camera and the full panoramic roof. So the entire roof is black. There's a nice brush trim piece for those roof rails there. And it has a great design to it with that rear glass. It meets the rear end very nicely. And then last up for the rear, this has a body colored spoiler with the integrated third brake light. The wiper blade is in the lower section, so you have plenty of visibility from the driver's seat above that. This has LED taillights with that same design that you saw up front. Really nice to see the bar light up as well as the individual lights. This has a backup camera, all the parking sensors. There's more gloss black in the lower diffuser, as well as the dual exhaust. So with the exterior wrapped up for this RS6 Avant, let's move our way to the cargo space now. So you can use the button up underneath located by the backup camera, or I can double tap on the key fob and it will automatically open up. Now this has a lot of space. Being the wagon, there's no overhangs like you would have in a traditional trunk, so there is plenty of space for any items you'd like to place in the back. There's a net over on the driver's side. You can even fold down these back seats just by pulling on these here. So when you do that, both of them will go down, of course, and when you remove this cover, there is a lot more interior cargo where you can place a lot of items. And then up underneath the floor, a little bit of storage. There's also a net that you can place in, as well as lifting that up, and you have access to even more hidden storage space as well as the sub. You could probably maybe fit a spare tire in there as well, but it's definitely nice to have that interior amount of extra cargo. And with the power liftgate up on the top, you can close and lock the vehicle. The one on the left side will just close it. And with that wrapped up, let's make our way to these back seats, where you can lock and unlock this using the back door handle, which makes it very convenient. When I open this up, the door panel has a very beautiful design with all the leather, carbon fiber, brushed aluminum. This even has the Bang & Olufsen sound system, a little bit of storage space down in the lower section, as well as the window control being finished off in brushed aluminum, the release handle too, and this even has a manual adjusting sunshade. So if you need to block some of the sun, you have the option to do that. And the interior leather for this model is called Cognac Volcana. It's a great color contrast against this exterior blue. I love the insert running down them, great pattern. RS is also in the top section there. And I have the front seat set at my height, which is 5'10". I can work my way into these back seats where I have a good amount of legroom. There's also a net behind both front seats as well. And right in the middle are all the climate adjustments for your backseat passengers, including the heated seat controls. We have the temperature dials as well as the fan speed. You can push on plus and minus or hover your finger over the lines to adjust the fan speed. You have where you'd like the air to go to. And this is also a dual zone for the back seat, so that is great to see. There's 2 USB-Cs as well as a 12 volt. And then right in the middle, we have the armrest. Just by folding this down, there's a little bit of storage space on the back section of it, as well as 2 cup holders, and you can hide those when you're not using them. And from the back seats, you can get a perspective of the visibility. Even with the wagon design, that pillar is not that bulky. Very large window behind the back seats too. And this has the full moonroof, as I mentioned earlier. I will open that up from the front seats. There is no control in the middle. And then as far as headroom goes for backseat passengers, I have a few inches above my head, but this is very roomy. You could be a little bit taller than me and still be comfortable in the back of these seats. And now we can make our way to these front seats. Now the door panel has the same design as you would expect as the rear does, with the addition of all of the window controls, side mirror adjustments, which are power folding and heated. This has all of the memory seating adjustments, lock and unlock, as well as that rear liftgate release and some more storage in the lower section of the door, even carbon fiber. It is a really nice door panel with the Alcantara just behind that. RS6 is down on the door sill, and these front seats have another great design to them with RS right in the middle. These are heated and ventilated seats, as well as being power adjusting. All of those controls are down on the side, with the exception, however, of the manual adjustment for the front section. So you can pull that out as needed just to get a little bit more leg room. And it is very easy to enter this vehicle. There's a low door sill, and that door opens up very wide as well. And then looking at this steering wheel, completely covered in perforated leather, which has a really nice design, as well as the flat bottom design with the RS badge. All the gloss black accents give it a great touch too. Over on this right side is Bluetooth and voice commands, as well as volume and tuning. There's the RS button. On the left side, you can go through that digital gauge cluster, which I'll show here soon, as well as view and the toggle buttons there. Let's fire this RS6 up though. With my foot on the brake, that button is located over on the right side. We can bring this to life. And coming back to the virtual cockpit, right now I have the view where the navigation is on that left side. The tach is front and center, as well as what gear you're in and the miles per hour. On the right side is the power and the torque. Now to configure that, I'm just going to click on the view button right now, and that will pull up the navigation in full screen and minimize everything else. So if you have the nav going and you'd like to see that full screen, you have the option to do that, as well as going through all the other information using those arrows. So I can pull up all the driving information like the fuel consumption, as well as the short and long-term memory. There's even the driving assistance that you can monitor as well. Pull up the music when you have that on, as well as your phone when that is paired, and we're back to the nav. Now if I go to the other screen that I previously had, you can still go through all that information, but now it's over on that left side, so it minimizes it. If you'd like to see the tach front and center, if you're doing some spirited driving, you can have that front and center, which is of course great to have. Now if I push on this RS button over on the right side of the steering wheel, it will change it again, where now we have the tach on both sides, like you're at the drag strip. It is laid out that way. With what gear you're in right in the middle, now we have a G-force meter over on that left side, and then you can look at tire pressure, which is important. If you're doing spirited driving, you can monitor all of that. However, you still can pull up all the other information, including the navigation, so if you just want to have this, you can still have that. I love this digital gauge cluster. It's very configurable. And on the left side is fixed information like the engine temperature. Fuel gauge is over on that right side. And this does have these steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, which are finished off in black with some chrome accents. They give it a really cool design. Over on the left side of the steering wheel is all of the headlight adjustments. There's a little bit of storage space down in the lower section if you'd like to place some items there, which is great to have. There's more carbon fiber and brushed aluminum. The entire dash is finished in leather, and this even has the heads-up display. Currently it's showing the tach as well as engine temperature, miles per hour. And as we move on to the center, there are 2 air vents right in the middle, as well as more carbon fiber and the brushed aluminum. And there are 2 center screens. This upper screen measures in just over 10 inches, and all these icons are very helpful. You can see phone as well as vehicle. So if I go into vehicle, you can go through the drive select. These are the different driving modes: comfort, auto, and dynamic. And this has the touch sensitive or the haptic feedback. So you can feel the button even though it is a screen. You can also go into the RS monitor and monitor all of those vitals if you'd like to see that. There's the efficiency assistance going into the seats just to configure all of that information. I can even scroll over, go into some other settings. On this left side is the home button. So we are back to these icons where I can go into the split screen view showing the navigation, the phone, and the audio. And then there's a few more icons to go into like messages, news, and some of that other information. On this left side, there are 2 different buttons to get to your music. So we have the radio as well as when your phone is paired. There's even a shortcut to all of your Bluetooth settings. And then I can pull up the navigation in full screen. So it's a nice system and laid out well. And then there's even more information down in the lower section. So this is basically all of your climate control adjustments. However, there's a few buttons on the top. We have the engine start stop feature. If I push on all of those, you can actually have presets for the navigation, like your home and a few other addresses. You can have the garage door button, which you can program. There's even this button here, which will get you back to the heads-up display, so you can configure all of that information. And you can even turn off that upper screen, so you can push on that button if you'd like to hide all that information. You can just tap on the screen or that button to bring it back up. And then going back to this screen, as you can tell with all the climates, we have the temperature as well as the fan speed. This does have a dual zone system for the front seat passengers. And like I mentioned earlier, they are heated and cooled. So we have those adjustments on both sides, as well as being able to sync this system. If I push on these 3 buttons in the middle, you can go to the rear seats now to be able to adjust all the climate controls. This even has a heated steering wheel and the interior fragrance, so you can spray that if you need to. And then down below, we have a shortcut to all the driving modes, as I already showed. So in that upper screen there, there's even traction control as well as the hazards and some defroster buttons on that right side. And then to the right side of the engine start stop button, we have a shortcut to the camera system. So currently it's showing the forward facing camera along with the top down view. If I expand this button here, there are a lot more views to see, just depending on what you'd like to see with this car. So we even have some for the backup camera as well, including the guidelines. And you can also see where the front wheels are as well as where the rear wheels are. And if I click on 3D, now we have a full screen view of the entire exterior of this car to make sure that there is nothing around the vehicle. It's awesome to have the technology features like that. And if I push on this, you can just pull up these sensors if you'd like to, as well as having that information displayed. Over on this far right side, we have power and volume for the radio. And then if I push on this button here, this brings up your driver assistance and how you can configure that just based on what you'd like. There are 2 cup holders on the right side, as well as a 12-volt and a little bit of storage. And with this leather wrap shifter, the release is on this left side. If I push it forwards, that is for reverse, so you'll see that appear like I just had it shown. I can go back into drive, and then you can also pop it over and shift using the shifter or those steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. And then park is on the back section. Now, if you are in the manual setting, it will automatically go back into its park position, which is great. The electronic parking brake is just behind that, finished off in more brushed aluminum. There's also some piano black. And then right in the middle is the leather wrapped armrest. If I open this up, there's a wireless charging pad, which is really nice to have. 2 USB-Cs and a little bit of storage space if you need to use it. And over on the passenger side, the glove box has an ample amount of room, as well as having a CD player too. And we'll take one last look at this interior. Beautiful seats. I love this leather color. And as I mentioned earlier, we have those moon roofs up top. To adjust those, both of those dials are in the middle, so I can push on one, push on the other button, and those will open up, giving you a lot of light for this interior. The touch sensitive dome lights are also up top, and there's a few call buttons too. All right, so as we get behind the wheel of this 2022 Audi RS6 Avant, I already have it in the RS setting as well as manual. We're gonna drop it to second and give it some gas. This is such a cool family wagon is what I'm going to call it, because you could absolutely daily drive this and then you still have plenty of room for your passengers as well as cargo space. where you could have this as your only vehicle and drive it every single day. This is a perfect blend between performance as well as practicality. So I love that Audi has brought this to the United States. This isn't a new vehicle, but for the US market, this came to us in the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So it is fairly new for us, and they have a pretty high demand. Not even half throttle. This has so much more potential than what I'm throwing at it today. But these are in pretty high demand. At least for me, I've rarely seen these at dealership lots, and Carolina Auto Direct currently has two 2022 models. So if you'd like to get one, definitely check them out because they go quick. And what I like about this too is that it's not really that loud, even in dynamic. You can hear a difference between that versus quiet or the comfort mode. So it's not a loud vehicle. If you want to make it loud, you can do an aftermarket exhaust, of course. But for Audi, it's not that loud. It's what you'd expect from an Audi. Although being the RS version, I would like it to be a little bit louder from the factory. I think that would be cool to maybe have a third setting just to get that exhaust note a little bit louder. It would make it more fun in my opinion. Not that it's not a fun car to drive. And as we switch over to the POV angle, something that I just figured out, when you put the vehicle into reverse and turn the steering wheel, the camera will actually turn with the steering wheel, and same for the forward facing camera. The guidelines turn as well as the camera itself. Pretty cool to see that. I've actually never seen that in a vehicle before. I don't think that's new technology, but it's nice that it's offered in this RS6. So as you can tell, we're in the RS setting again, have it in manual mode. Woo! And we are up to speed just like that. This is such a quick vehicle. I love the exterior styling, and I love this interior, as you've already seen with all these materials, but I really enjoy how this drives. I own an Audi myself. I'm not too biased against Audi, but I've driven pretty much every single model, and I love how they drive. They are very comfortable and smooth, and very quiet too. This is an enjoyable daily driver that gives you the performance and the practicality. If you have a family, you need that space. You still want sports car-like performance, but you want a different shape. You know, having basically a station wagon, you can be a little bit different, and it still has a cool sportback look from the outside. But this is a lot of fun to drive. Paddle shifters are very responsive too, as you would expect for the RS model. Even from fourth gear, that was fourth gear, and I'm not doing anything too crazy today, and it had plenty of power for a slight acceleration, so you can have a ton of fun driving this around. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for my walk around review and test drive behind the wheel of this 2022 Audi RS6 Avant. Once again, huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this family performance-oriented wagon for me today. Make sure you guys check out their website. That info is down in the description below. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.